Get ready, Staten Island. It's time to celebrate 5 years of Ferry Hawks baseball.
Friday, May 22nd at 7 p.m. it's Scout Night. This $16 ticket includes Ferry Hawks Special Edition 2026 Scout Patch. And for just $25 more, it's a Scout sleepover and breakfast the next morning. And post-game, all kids glow around the bases. Saturday, May 23rd at 1 p.m. it's Matinee Baseball. And Sunday, May 24th at 1:30 p.m., Matinee Baseball.
Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
A lot going on. You know, Anthony Cumia said Sunday night with these diseases, he's very suspicious of some of these. So let's get right to Victoria. First of all, Victoria, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Sid. Good to be here.
Nice to have you back. Let's start with Ebola. I saw Fox News did something this morning. They said that if it's not treated, 90% of people that end up with Ebola die. That's how dangerous that disease is. Just how bad is that outbreak here in the United States, and what's it really all about?
Well, yeah, a lot of us are kind of wondering, is this going to be a here we go again situation? You know, I'm not a doctor or a scientist, so if I talk about a virus or vaccines, it's pretty basic information that anyone can check out. But my real concern in being here today is, you know, what are we going to do with our knowledge? What do we learn from COVID? And what are the potential outcomes of this reporting that we're seeing? For Ebola, for instance, in Africa, the fact is that you have a 1 in 1.5 billion chance of getting Ebola in the United States. But of course, there's already a vaccine coming through that's tied to Bill Gates. Now, Africa has had about 40 outbreaks of Ebola since the 1970s, but they were always contained and never became a pandemic. And this appears to be a bit of a fear campaign, kind of like what we're seeing with hantavirus. So what do we know about hantavirus? We know that person-to-person transmission is nearly impossible. It doesn't really happen. Hantavirus comes from rodent droppings and feces, and it can get potentially ingested through the air if there's maybe cleaning taking place or other activity where it can be kind of kicked up. It has to be aerosolized. So you're not going to catch it at the grocery store. You're not going to catch it from another person. In 20 years, from 1993 to 2023, there were 890 total cases of hantavirus in 20 years. And that's roughly 30 cases a year. So that's really nothing. So my question is, why the need to even temporarily consume the world media cycle for this? You know, I think we need to be very on guard. You know, same thing for Ebola, for the fear hook. Nothing is more powerful than being able to make people afraid. And we need to be just aware of the media's ability to kind of personalize an extremely rare risk. I think it's Moderna that already has a vaccine in the works for hantavirus, an almost non-existent problem, you know, and some people will take it just based off of what they see on the news. I've seen interviews of people on the street already agreeing to take a hantavirus vaccine. They know nothing about it, but they're ready to roll up their sleeves, and that's a little scary. You're 7 times more likely to get struck by lightning than to get hantavirus in the United States. So
Wow.
The reporting we often see from corporate media is frankly just not based in reality.
Oh, that's a good job. That's why what you're doing, Victoria, is great. It really is. And I know you're not alone. You've got a whole movement. And Alex does a lot of that, too, running for Senate against Cory Booker. We'll get to that. That was some very valuable information there. Great job, Victoria. And I've got your friend Ron Johnson on this show quite a bit, one of my favorite senators out of the great state of Wisconsin. He was on a couple of weeks ago talking about his COVID fight on the Hill, that some of these vaccines have led to strokes and debilitating sicknesses, and people are dying from some of these COVID shots that were administered years and years ago, and there are people that will take those again. I mean, it just seems unbelievable that people are so willing to do it, knowing full well the health risks are more dangerous than what they're actually getting the shot for.
Yeah, Senator Johnson has just been so great. And I kind of don't understand when people say we need to move on from what happened during COVID, because it was one of the most consequential events of our lifetime. And we never received answers. But last week, a CIA whistleblower named James Erdman testified before Congress. And when a whistleblower starts talking, I just take a seat, get comfortable, because there's probably no one who's going to disclose the truth like a whistleblower, taking such great personal risk with absolutely nothing to gain. And that may be, by the way, not a single Democrat showed up to the hearing that day. I guess it's tough to try to contest an insider like that. So to briefly summarize what we learned from Jim Erdman, the Biden administration handed over a insulting 5-page report. It was actually 4 pages because 1 page was a cover sheet, signed by the Director of National Intelligence at the time, and swore that this was all the information they had on the origins of SARS-CoV-2. And of course, the main takeaways from what they provided were that nothing was found in the Wuhan lab that would have resulted in a COVID outbreak, and there was no evidence of any incident involving lab employees. And these are blatant lies. They are blatantly false. The actual documentation on COVID origins is thousands of pages long. We know that they were withholding. We know that a lab leak was most likely the cause of the outbreak. This was a cover-up. And the quote-unquote experts and scientists who were tasked to investigate it were literally the same individuals complicit in gain of function, including Dr. Fauci, who funded what caused the nightmare that followed. So these thousands of pages that were withheld, that have now been turned over, are being worked through by Tulsi Gabbard and her team. And, these are crimes against humanity, crimes against the American people and the entire world. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, died. Many in that number were denied effective and inexpensive treatments, and instead were given remdesivir and a ventilator and died due to that hospital protocol. And those who pushed back and asked questions were censored and vilified, and it's not okay. None of it was okay. When are they going to prison? That's what I want to know. And just to quickly mention, talking about the hearing, Senator Ron Johnson, who was a key person, leader in the hearing, has been bravely supporting medical liberty and has been a huge advocate for those injured by the COVID vaccine, an advocate for vaccine safety, which the media said would kill him, but he won his reelection bid. Meanwhile, Bill Cassidy, who did the opposite and who the media praised, didn't even win his primary.
Good point. Bill Cassidy losing in Louisiana just a couple of days ago. Victoria Kapish. I do want to close out with your friend Alex Zidane. You're active in his campaign, as I am. I like him a lot. I was out there in New Jersey last month at one of his events. He's my choice for that Senate seat. He's got a difficult primary coming up for people before he even gets to Cory Booker in November. But the news this week that Cory Booker is now doing what Alex does. Alex is a big Maha guy like you are. And here comes Cory Booker. He's decided that, hey, maybe just to make sure Alex doesn't sneak up behind me, maybe I'll dive in. I like Bobby Kennedy. Maha looks pretty good these days. How much nonsense is that coming from Cory Booker?
Yeah, I don't know. As I mentioned before, medical freedom is a voting bloc. It's not a fringe movement. And, to talk specifically about Maha, Cory Booker showed up at the People versus Poison rally in D.C. a few weeks ago, and apparently he's now supporting the Maha movement. Making America healthy shouldn't be a partisan issue, so that's great that he's jumping on the bandwagon. But thankfully, we have a true Maha candidate running for Booker's seat in the Senate. That is, as you mentioned, Alex Zidane. Alex supports health freedom 100%. He is an award-winning investigative journalist. And during COVID, he was really brave. He pushed back. He challenged Governor Murphy on his mandates and his ridiculous COVID policies. And Alex has been endorsed by most Maha groups. He's been endorsed by Stand for Health Freedom, which is considered to be kind of the leader in this space. and pretty much all of the New Jersey Maha community. And he's also just one of the nicest guys you could ever want to know, just genuine. And if you don't know Alex, I urge you to get out to one of his meet and greets. Check him out at alexbeatsbooker.com. And I'm looking forward to him taking the New Jersey primary on June 2nd.
Me too. That's a heck of a job, Victoria Kapish. Great job. June 2nd, that is the primary, as Victoria just mentioned. Make sure you get out there and make sure that Alex has a chance to beat Cory Booker come November. Victoria will do it again very, very soon. Terrific work. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you.
Take care. Victoria Kapish right there, and that's a smart lady, and she knows her stuff, especially with all these issues, Ebola, hantavirus, all that stuff going on today.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?